Hi, I'm Matt Hoffman, and this is the Bub and Pop podcast where we talk about music, careers in music, life, the universe, and everything. Today, I am super excited to share this conversation I had with Kitchen Dwellers, and our conversation covered a lot of different areas that I hope that Dwellers fans will appreciate, because I'm not sure it's stuff that they've always talked about. And for folks who don't know them so well, I hope this will give you somewhat of a sense for their MO and what a thoughtful, talented, intentional group they are. I think that carries over into their recorded music as well as their shows, a lot of which are available on nugs.net. And ultimately, the pleasure was really mine in speaking with them. So I'm excited to share that conversation with you now. Well, so we're here in Denver where you guys recorded the last EP that you put out, right? Catabatic? Did you co-mixed that, Max, is that right? Did you mix it back then, or did you mix it more recently as you got ready to release it?
Just recently, right before we put it out. We recorded it in 2021, and we kind of been sitting on it, and we wanted to put it out. But then we started working on Seven Devils, and we kind of revisited it recently, and we thought, oh man, we should see if we can put that out. And I recently had a kid, so while I was at home, I learned about how to use some of the mixing software and thought it'd be fun to try. But so myself and then Stefan Gagan, our front of house, he did a lot of work on it, and it was kind of cool. I feel like it was like a very Kitchen Dwellers produced.
Yeah.
Like we kind of did that whole, we did that whole EP on our own, which is, kind of fun.
And was that the first time you had released music with a horn player? With Eric Benny Bloom on the, or I guess, brass?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, so I'm also assuming, because I know you're a skier, like, had Catabatic been in your vocabulary in the past?
No, not in mine. In these guys, for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of a Montana thing around Bozeman and Livingston. A lot of things in Livingston particularly are named Catabatic. There's a brewery called Catabatic, and there's a few other things. And there it's referring to the wind coming out of Yellowstone Park and into Paradise Valley there. But Stu just informed me that there are several different types of Catabatic winds present even in this country. So
yeah, we had all growing up in Alaska too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you said that.
Call them the Taku winds up there.
So what does that term kind of bring to mind for you guys? I mean, at the very least, there's the Alaska version and the Montana version.
Just how
or just sounds cool.
Oppressive the wind in that valley almost always is.
Yeah,
It blows like 100 miles an hour.
yeah. We left our New Year's show a few years ago at the Elm in Bozeman, and when I lived in Livingston at the time, and I got to my house there, and it was like, only like 10 degrees or something. It was super cold, typical Montana January, but it said the wind was blowing 80 miles an hour at my house when I got there. So yeah, it's a phenomenon there for sure.
Yeah. So how did you decide to name this EP after that? And also, had there been more tunes that you decided not to release with these from that session?
That was just really a 2-day session. Those were songs that two of them we've been playing live, Catabatic and My Miss Ida. And those are just, those are kind of interesting instrumentals that we've been playing live. And then Sean had a song, Madison, and we just wanted to book studio time, if we get restless and we if we haven't been in the studio a little bit, we want to get in and try to record. But that was we were thinking that was almost going to be like a pre-production thing on an album. Like we were going to go in and see what we could come up with. But we were only there for 2 days,
Mm.
and it was more just kind of booked for fun and record those songs. So it was just kind of like what we had in between a couple albums. And then we thought maybe we didn't know if those were gonna be put on Seven Devils, and they ended up not being on the album. So it's cool that they're out.
Mm. I'm trying to think of any of the kind of seven deadlies that they might have been, paired up with, because it's Madison as lyrics, but the other two are There are some lyrics from Madison that I wanted to ask you guys about. And Swain, I'll ask you because it sounds like you wrote them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find I let them go and they swim back to the same damn hole.
Yeah, it's just a literal thing about fly fishing that I think people can find their own metaphor within. But yeah, I mean, she's just talking about basically how, the idea is that this girl kind of likes hanging out at the river more than with other people. And I think she's drawing a comparison to some of the relationships she's maybe had with men in her life with that line. And she's basically given up on guys. Her friend punches another guy in the face in the song. So it started as a literal thing about fly fishing, and then it kind of became more of a woman talking about her own experience with shitty dudes.
Mm-hmm. And have you guys, I know that Catabatic's been, pretty actively in the rotation. Have you just been folding Madison in more recently?
Yeah. I think this first time we played it live with that, I think it was this fall at Pine Creek, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So we played it a handful of times since then, but it's not a super regular song at this point.
Gotcha. I'm glad you mentioned Pine Creek, because that, as I understand it, was the debut of Swain singing a tune. Is that right?
It was, yeah.
So why then, after, so long as a band? I'm not asking because, it's a bad thing.
I think it was probably had to do mostly with the theme that we were running with. Because our theme was Rendezvous, which is kind of like the Mountain Man version of Renaissance Fair. And that song is a fictional story. I wrote, a historic fiction story about a mountain man character. So I think it just it was too on the nose to not give a shot to. And, so I've done it a couple times since then.
And how did you guys decide that you would sing lead on that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
he's been writing songs that he doesn't sing, at least on the records.
Okay.
For years, and
yeah.
eventually we were like, "Screw you, dude!
You're like right. Yeah, a lot of songs.
You're singing this one."
I mean, you can nail the harmonies. You can nail the lead.
Yeah. Yes. Typically, Sean writes a lot of songs that I end up singing when we record them, and then so I end up singing them live, which I don't mind at all. They're great songs, and getting to sing, your buddy's song is pretty gratifying in and of itself. But then that one came along, and it was like the first line is "My name is O'Hanlon," and I was like, if you think I'm going to sing that line next to your hasty Irish white ass standing next to me on stage, you got another thing coming, basically.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time coming. That I think Swain found his voice.
It's exhausting to
I know. After that show, he was like, "I can't believe you guys do that every night."
I was so tired after just like.
Was it feeling physically, mentally, emotionally?
Yeah, I probably just kind of felt like I was patting my head and rubbing my stomach at the same time the first time. But it seemed easier since then for sure.
Awesome. You think maybe more of that in 26 and beyond? Not committing to anything, but Joe's nodding his head yes.
Probably. We'll see to what extent. But yeah, most likely we'll try to do some more.
let's say you guys all went out to do like karaoke or something like that. What are some things you might think about singing?
We've done this.
We've done this,
Um,
yeah.
We did go do this.
We did this in Athens.
I sang Kryptonite, and I did the thing from like this guy from old school where I dropped like a random F-bomb.
Oh yeah, he's in.
It gave me 100% score.
Yeah,
I won.
it's he does it in the it's in the Hangover too. It's the Dan Band. Yeah.
They have like
He's
albums.
Yeah. I just recently figured out about this. Someone sent me their album, and I was like, oh, that's the fucking guy. That's yeah.
So I did Kryptonite,
Yeah.
No, they harmonize really well too. It's like three dudes, I think.
Yeah, they kill it.
What would you guys sing it?
I know what Joe's gonna say.
I just did it last night.
Yeah.
The Buffett. Yeah, that was
Buffett,
wonderful
yeah.
too. I'm a massive fan. That's actually what like I always liked you guys and liked Max, but like hearing you guys cover "Son of the Sun" at Annapolis Bay Grass last year,
Oh yeah.
and I texted Max. I'm like, that was cool. I love Jimmy. He's like, we love Jimmy. I was like, all right. And I like the way that you put it last night, Torrin. It's like, no, we like really like Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah. Some people think it's like an ironic thing, and that's kind of a usual thing for musicians, though. I feel like I know a lot of other even bluegrass musicians that really like. Travis Book loves Jimmy Buffett. Anders Beck loves Jimmy Buffett. But it's kind of as a musician, you kind of have to, I think, a little bit like have the appreciation for things that other people are not necessarily going to like or make fun of.
I mean, you got to admit the guy lived incredibly freely.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah,
He was one of the first people to ever catch a tarpon on a fly rod.
on LSD.
Yeah, well, probably the first. for
Yeah,
that.
I think that was the
First and last one.
Yeah. I mean, and he hung out, around, our beloved Pine Creek Lodge quite a bit.
Yep.
And Livingston in general. So
Have you guys heard the Bob Dylan stories? There are a couple of Dylan things I've kind of come across in my research. One, there was a Rolling Stone article, maybe like late 70s, early 80s, and they were like, who are some songwriters you like? And he said, Buffett is my favorite one. And it's like, you never know if you can take Bob Dylan seriously or not.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then in 82, he and Joan Baez did a duet on A Pirate Looks at 40 at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh way.
Fucking Goosebump City. It's just beautiful.
wow, I've not seen.
But even with that, maybe it's like, is he punking us? Because like,
Yeah,
you never
yeah.
know with Dylan.
Yeah,
okay.
be a massive troll.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also I'm glad you mentioned the historical fiction thing because you've gone down that path, right? With the Mars song.
This is nonfiction.
Yeah, yours is straight up
it's-
nonfiction.
Yeah, historically accurate.
Okay. How did you wind up kind of making that, decision creatively?
So where I was living in Bozeman, my neighbor is an author, and he turned me on to this book, The Immortal Irishman, by Tim Egan, who's a writer from the Northwest, and he was telling me about this book, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. It's Irish history. It also, he winds up in Montana, but I read this book and it blew me away. This guy's story, I was just like, I've never heard this guy's story before, but he lived just an incredibly epic life of, it was like a saga from, leaving Ireland, being banished to an island, to then coming to New York, to then being this Irish leader in the Civil War, to then going to Montana. Like his life was insane.
He became the first governor of Montana.
Yeah, he was acting governor of Montana Territory, which almost became named New Ireland. And so I was just reading this book. I was like, I feel like I need to write a song about this guy.
It's fantastic. When I was listening to it, and lyrics sometimes take a while to like sink in for me. But I was thinking of this Mark Knopfler tune that he wrote with, I think, James Taylor on the Sailing to Philadelphia album. It's about like such and such Mason, such and such Dixon, and how Mason-Dixon line, for the non-East Coasters, as the southern border between Pennsylvania and Maryland. And it's like, oh wow, they can write like a cool song that I have learned something from. That's that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Have you continued to think about like drawing on kind of history or nonfiction as a
Well, I'm actually reading this book right now. It's about a ship that I'm thinking about writing a song about.
There's no songs
it was
written
on-
about it already.
It's about a boat that was on Lake Superior. It went down in like 75.
Okay.
It's called the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Saw no Canadians ever written a song about that, right?
But that's funny. I am reading that book right now, and I'm like, damn.
The fact of the matter is that the Titanic event was just the Edmund Fitzgerald wreck of the ocean.
Of the ocean,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite a big deal.
Yeah. It's what is known as the Midwest's 9/11.
Also heard it called that. Yes.
I made an ass of myself in front of my students recently. Where like we were talking about the Titanic, and I was like, hey, does anyone know the name of the sister ship? And they were like, yeah, it's I think the Olympia and the Britannica. And I was like, no, it's the Lusitania. They're like, no, you're wrong.
That was the one that rescued him, though.
Yeah.
Which
So,
then got sunk by the Germans in World War One.
exactly.
The Britannica, the sister ship, also sank somewhere.
Glad there are people out there keeping people like me. Well, so, thinking about different kind of approaches to lyrics, Joe, I'd ask you about a few tunes from some of the last couple albums with a little more time under your belt. Like, how does Pendulum kind of hit now versus, say, when you had released it?
I feel like it has honestly kind of evolved from how I originally started writing it, like even the meaning behind the words, like as it would for a listener, audience member. Like it's the meaning of the song has sort of changed for me along the way. And, yeah, I don't know.
How has it changed?
Like I started writing it about specific events in my life, and then it sort of just changed into like a general, at least this is the way I see it, interpret it how you want, but like the general baseline of like dopamine addictiveness in people, and how when you give up one thing, you often replace it with another. And that's sort of like the pendulum swinging back and forth and the balance that you have to create in your life to get through those addictions.
Yeah, it's almost ironic to have all these Instagram ads telling you about dopamine addiction and how they can cure it for you. Yeah. You, I think you mentioned meditation in that song. Is that something you continue to do?
Yeah.
What do you like? Vipassana, TM?
Just sitting with breath in the morning is typically what I do, and it's a practice. I'm at a lot of practice at the moment, but
Yeah. It's like the hardest thing that's supposed to be super easy, or the easiest thing that feels super hard.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been off and on with it a lot over time. When I was trained in transcendental meditation, it felt a little bit woo-woo, like for me. Then I was like, well, what if I suspend disbelief a little bit? And
Yeah, we have a couple friends who do that, and that's almost exactly what they said. You do have to like suspend that push back and like just let yourself go into it, and then it actually works.
Yeah. Well, so to stay with you, like when can you talk about your kind of evolution just as a player in terms of like the crayon box on the floor in front of you, all your effects, and kind of branching out from, a lot of the sounds you conjure are not what people think of with an upright bass.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think that's just kind of the story of his band. We've always kind of just tried to do what sounded cool to us, and we got into effects pretty early on, and I just started getting more and more, and just seeing what was like cool. I came from like an electronic music-ish background, so I love like synthy, heavy bass stuff, and so I try to incorporate that not just into the effects, but into like my playing style too. Sometimes I'm not really like playing on the 1 and 3 bluegrass drive. I'm like hitting on the 1 just to kind of get that like almost house feel or something. But I think a lot of the effects are just evolved from like what I want to hear. Not necessarily like trying to push a certain envelope or anything, but just it's fun to make cool noises that mesh and also make bluegrass sound weird. I don't know.
I mean, same thing with me. Like if somebody would make a show talking to you about the stuff I want to talk to you about, I would watch the shit out of it, but nobody is. So here we are. I'm also glad you mentioned the 1 and 3, because last night, whatever the tune was right before you went into the Radiohead national anthem, I had just noticed, like looking out at the crowd, with a lot of rock music, everybody's on the 2 and the 4. And it's just like people are suddenly jamming hard on the 1 and the 3. And then it's like, is that Radiohead? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like, what is it like for you guys in terms of crafting a set list of like, are you thinking as you're going through a jam, like, okay, this is where we need to wind up to go into the next thing? Or is it looser than that, tighter than that?
Those thoughts are there. I mean, that was just spur of the moment, but we weren't planning.
Yeah, that one actually wasn't even on the set list.
Dude, it was great. It was so great.
We needed a little more time. We were like, we need to add 5 minutes, or like, and then no one said anything, and then somebody just started playing it. But
Yeah, I just started playing the riff.
Yeah. That was good.
I mean, it depends. Like, that's an interesting question because Torin writes the set list, and then he sends it, and we have input, and it kind of gets worked out from there. So most often we have a pretty solidified roadmap. And it's kind of it's funny that we do a lot of sandwiches. Our band is Kitchen Dwellers. We sandwich songs in between each other. It's awesome. I love it. The other night though, for the first time, when Joe had his travel goofed up, and we were like, we've also just gotten really comfortable playing with each other, and I feel like we have been playing together so long, and then we've been wanting to do this for a while. But the other night we were like, we're just not going to write a second set list, and we called songs. It was so much fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was everybody calling the ball, or?
Yeah.
Got passed around.
Yeah, it got passed around, and it was kind of like whoever had an idea first when we like finished the first song, it kind of went from there. But it made for some really cool transitions. We had a couple bust outs, songs that we hadn't played in a really long time, like covers that we hadn't played in a really long time. And yeah, that was super cool, very gratifying.
Because a lot of it, I feel like when we're thinking about the set list, or even in jams, like one thing, that Tora and I both play with capos, but we're not always capoed at the same thing for songs, and we're sandwiching, like one of us is changing capos, and like what key are we playing in? So that's something that's always on the brain, which like the other night when we did a set of just calling songs, it was pretty seamless to be like, oh, we know what key we're in. This is what we can maybe move to.
Was the improv different on the night where you were just calling the songs on the spot?
I mean, yeah, I would think that there was.
We were forced into uncomfortable places just because we don't usually do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just did a gig with Everyone Orchestra.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Matt Butler is one of my favorite humans.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah, I used to live in Portland, so I hung out with Matt Butler quite a few times. And yeah, having just done that like last month, that like whole ethos is just like you're just like a puppet for Matt when you're in Everyone Orchestra, and it's really the most important thing is being able to hear, like just to hear what everyone else is doing, because it's like it's not only important you hear like the bass and the drums and the rhythm and the vocals and stuff, but since it's all improv, like the trumpet player might start the song, and so you got to know, like you got to be able to pick out like what notes he's playing like fairly quickly and efficiently to be able to build off of it. And so I think we've been sort of treating a lot of our shows and jams like that. There's been a lot more type 2 things cropping up lately, and it's fun to do that. It's awesome to see like what we make in the moment and then revisit it.
I thought it was really interesting too, just to see, I think you had posted something on social, like your kind of rough.
Oh yeah, high notes of how we played.
And that is the best distillation of a set I've ever seen from like.
Yeah, he used it on his, he recorded all the songs, and he's going to publish the shows because he said those are the best Everyone Orchestra shows in like a few years. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
I saw the word Phrygian on there and just got uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
So Phrygian.
Yes. It was Phrygian dominant too.
Yeah.
It was fucked up.
The first guy who we interviewed for the show is Jonathan Coleman, the bass player from Muscle Tough, and a trio with Johnny Kimmock and Eli Winderman, and he's like a theory wizard and like looks at the world through the Lydian kind of frame, this like George Russell Lydian chromatic concept stuff that like when I say the words it sort of suggests that I understand it, but I really don't.
Is that why you chose this building?
Yeah, right. Lydian on the outside.
Yeah.
It's Kismet.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Butler thing was great. Is that the kind of thing that you might like to do more of, that you guys might have any interest in? You know,
I loved it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was incredibly gratifying. Yeah. I really love making something from nothing. Like I feel like that's when we do our best work in the studio. That's when our best jams come around in the live setting. And yeah, I feel like that's when you're like really living into musicality.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys bring to the studio as you're getting ready to record? Like riffs, lyrics, whole songs, all the above?
All the above. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of been less and less as we've gone on. We've done a lot more of the creation in the studio, pretty much every album.
Hmm.
But yeah, sometimes they start out as literally just a riff, and then there's a song by the end of it. Sometimes it's fully completed chords, melody, lyrics, and
I guess, Swain, you typically are always coming in with a song like, yeah, Torrin's singing this.
I mean, yeah, in the past it's been kind of the way it goes, but yeah, we'll see where it goes in the future.
Yeah, he kicked you out of the nest, man. You
No,
gotta
I
fly.
know, yeah. I gotta grow my wings.
Well, the other thing I've been thinking about, so I read some stuff online and everybody's got an opinion where it's like, well, Seven Devils was kind of the fire and Catabatic is this contrast with the cold. But then I'm thinking like, well, Seven Devils is also about descent and a Catabatic is like a downward kind of slow wind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
of course, the fans think about this shit way more than anybody else.
yeah.
But like,
But
I
also,
love that discussion is happening out there somewhere. That's hilarious.
Whoever's doing it isn't that versed on the Dante's Inferno descent, because the bottom of the descent is frozen and isolated.
Yes, frozen and ice.
That's
Funny. Well, we'll see what they. I don't know if we, this might end up getting cut, but we just recorded an album.
oh,
I don't know how much we should talk about it, but it'll be funny to see maybe where that thought process
Is it like the lukewarm water album or something?
the
Yeah.
waterfall.
it's the room temp water.
Yeah, that's right.
water.
That's right. Well, so I mean, I feel like there are a lot of sort of, comparing and contrasting you could do when you think about the Dwellers. Like, you're a bluegrass band playing bluegrass instruments, but Torrin doesn't play like any other bluegrass player, and you guys are using effects like crazy. I was also curious to see that it looks like you're using mostly analog effects and not digital.
Yeah.
Mine's all digital.
Okay, what are you using?
I use Strymon pedals for my effects, and they're all digital. But Joe is very committed to analog.
Why is that?
Just the warmth and
He doesn't like our sound guy.
Well,
Yeah.
I like that I'm making my own sounds. Like it's literally my adjustments and my playing that's affecting the tone rather than something digital zeros and ones we spit out the other side.
I mean, I switched to a quad cortex in the last couple of years, and it's super convenient, but it's also weird that like when you push the volume, it just gets louder. It's not getting like dirtier.
Yeah, it's not getting more intense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it's also funny, because I think it's funny. Like I've been thinking a lot about these different kind of contrasts in music, right? Like, analog versus digital, original versus playing other people's music, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, there's part of that that's always stuck with me since I was 17. I probably haven't read it since I was like in my 20s. And and you guys have a song called Phaedrus, and you're from Montana. Talk to me. Tell me about that book. And
I mean, I wrote that so long ago, and I read that book so long ago. It's probably gonna be hard for me to talk about it.
fair.
And I think I maybe even read that book. I can't remember if I was already living in Montana. But just, the whole thought about maybe like the quality of your time, the quality of your life, not necessarily like, was it good or was it bad, but like the weight to it. And I was, very impressionable at that age. And, I was still doing a lot of traveling, like personal traveling around, the country. And that's kind of just where that song came from.
Yeah, it's like that and The Fountainhead are the book that everybody reads in their like late teens, early 20s.
Right.
Can't get it off your brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so in the book, as I recall, he talks about there's sort of the classical approach versus the romantic, where, and I even think this is sort of open to interpretation, but he talks about like needing to fix a friend's motorcycle while they're on a trip. And he's like, oh, you can just use this little piece of a beer can. And he's like taking this classical sort of practical approach. And his friend is like, a beer can on my BMW? Like, no way. How could you do that? I feel like some people might look at what you're doing and say, this isn't bluegrass. Like, how dare they? Other people might be like, yeah, exactly. Forget about titles. It's just,
Yeah, I like that. I actually think about that a lot, in like through the process of hooking up these like old instruments and older style instruments to effects and like sort of the like silly avenues that you have to go through in order to do that. So like, banjo was made not to put a pickup on by any means. Like no one wants to hear that. It's so loud, and you might as well put a pickup on an accordion. Like that's fucked up to do. And so, and it's also people have been doing it for very long. Either people are doing it to a guitar for much longer. So that process is sort of like way more smoothed out, way more streamlined, and it's made way more predictable. And so through this process, I'm like, have this pickup in this banjo, but then there's like the thing that's actually making the pickup sound okay and not go crazy is a piece of shipping foam that's inside the banjo. And then I'm like looking, and of course, like you have to get a good pickup or you have to get a good microphone, but the avenues by which you do that, the microphone is zip tied to the banjo because there's no mounting system. They just make mounting systems for drums and they make mounting systems for everything else, but not for a banjo. And so it's zip tied to there. And I was like, and then I'm talking to, our friend Chris Pandolfi, who has been playing banjos, and especially plugged in banjos, much longer than I have. He's a doctorate in banjo. And I'm like, well, what do you use to put your mic on? Like, what? Why is that? Why is your mic so sturdy? And he was like, he's like, Becker rigged this up with a coat hanger. And I was like, so he has like a Gibson, like a $20,000 banjo. And then his clip-on mic is a coat hanger and duct tape. Hold that on there, and I was like, all right, good.
You literally just are explaining.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, glad to see that. Self-reliance hasn't fallen out of style.
Right. Looks, I mean, sometimes you got to just figure it out.
I mean, I've got zip ties and tape holding my microphone the way it connects to my mandolin too, just because there's not something that exists for
Not yet. Maybe you guys get your own like proprietary thing.
Yeah.
Jake Sinninger from Umphreys has
the
proprietary the blade. Yeah. Have you played one?
No, I haven't.
Our homie in Montana has one on all of his guitars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Matt Rogers has a Jake blade on every guitar. So
wow.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it because like, I don't know. Sometimes it's easier to have the whammy bar right there, but other times it's easier to have it out of the way. Fortunately, I'm not.
It's like a whammy bar, but it's only like this big. It's like teardrop shaped, and it just sits on your bridge, and you can just like palm it. It's basically made to sit right here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, fucking works.
Yeah,
Matt Rogers shreds. So
it is fantastic. Yeah. Well, so what? 2025 was a massive year, right? Like selling out Rev Rocks and all kinds of stuff.
We didn't sell out.
Oh no.
We,
Okay. Let me.
it was good though. The tickets were good. The numbers were good.
Okay, the numbers are good, Jerry. Yeah, the numbers are good.
So right, really big show. And,
There were a lot of people. It looked full.
oh yeah.
It felt full.
Well, I do that in reviews sometimes where it's like where I can't say sold out. I'll just be like shoulder to shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Reviews are funny too because like sometimes it's just like who's got the best thesaurus and or like talks about flittering like amixolydian jam or something.
How many adjectives?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. To each their own. But I don't think you guys are doing winter wondergrass, right?
Not this year.
Okay.
We've been doing it pretty steadily for several years now. So.
Okay.
Love that festival.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, there's no reason actually that we wouldn't do it except that we want time off.
Sure. That's great. You need it. How old is your little one, Max?
Almost 7 months. Wow. Yeah.
Man.
Yes. He was born in July of this year.
Okay. And is he your second or your
First.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I took a little bit of time off the road, and I am very excited to get home. Trying to figure it all out.
There's a bass player I was talking to yesterday, a guy named Julia Xavier Cheto. He goes by the Jazz Thug. And like, I'm writing an article. I'll send it to you guys. But he really fucked up his arm, like with a just random incident with a knife while he was like drying dishes.
Oh.
And it's like, that's a pretty bad, devastating thing, But like, as we were talking about it, like he also had a kid during that window and he was home with that kid for 8 months that he wouldn't otherwise have been able to do. Like, yeah, if only we could do all of the things all the time, but alas.
Yeah, it'd be great.
What else are you guys excited about this year? It sounds like maybe an album. Anything you're thinking about tour-wise, show-wise? I know like all the announcements aren't out yet.
I mean, tomorrow night the mission's gonna be a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
The mission's going to be sick. It's looking like it's going to be pretty packed.
Yeah. We have a pretty decently busy first 6 months of the year, and it's all in places that we love to play. So
We've been trying to get back to the Southwest for a number of years. We haven't been to Arizona in a while, so we're really excited to get back there.
Arizona, New Mexico, California, Rabbi Joshua Tree,
the Northwest.
Northwest.
Hopefully Annapolis in August or September.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I sort of like very gently reach out to them. I'm like, so guys, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We love the Baygrass.
Yeah.
It's such a good festival.
Yeah.
And also like knowing how you guys kind of lean green, like I think what they're doing is so amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's really awesome. Yeah. I actually personally know Jason and Kelly here in Denver.
Yeah.
So I see that semi-regularly.
You see Fife Dog?
I don't see Peace Dog as often, but I do know who Five Dog is.
I haven't met Fife. I'd like to. Every time he posts a picture, I'm just like, yo, on point Fife?
Oh, yeah.
Does that say butter? Oh, butter. I was like, because I know Joe will talk about butter.
Right. Do you keep your butter like out on the counter or put it in the fridge?
I am both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a fridge guy.
I have freezer butter, and I have fridge butter, and I have kind of butter. My daughter loves butter, too.
Oh, yeah? How old is she?
Almost 3.
Wow.
Might be your favorite food.
There are worse things that kids can be into.
Yeah, that's true. At least it's not sure.
Right now, it's butter, bone marrow, and pate.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, he's raising a cage fighter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cage fighter or like a super hoity-toity chef or something.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What kind of pate? I'm like
Goose liver?
Yeah, we beef or chicken liver and apple and onion and stuff.
I'm Jewish, like of Eastern European descent, so like chicken liver is my
Yeah.
some good stuff.
Nice.
What is she into as a 3-year-old? Like I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old.
Skiing. She was obsessed with skiing right now.
That's amazing. We've just started our girls skiing. My in-laws have a place in southern Vermont, right near Mount Snow. So like we try to get up there around the end of the year, get them skiing, and it's like my older daughter doesn't like not being good at stuff. So sometimes that's motivating and other times it's discouraging. And we try to, train her in the right way. Thanks, guys.
You coming tonight?
Yeah.
Nice.
Tonight and I'll talk to Stu. I don't know if we're on the list, but we'll we'll get.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, just
well,
just
Yeah. He is the best tour manager.
Who wears many hats?
He has to think about what's like in a very high level of detail, what's happening today. And at the same time, he's thinking about 6 months from now, a month from now. And,
And he's also a photographer.
Yeah. I'm gonna put his pictures in the lift.
Yeah, nice. He's also
I mean, he does
just
a
thinking
lot.
about taking pictures at the show tonight. And also, crazy thing is he posts all the set lists and stuff because he loves that. He's our archivist. He
Yeah.
loves that.
I like how he makes the notes.
So he makes the notes. So what he does every morning after the show, this is really crazy, is the whole time he's taking pictures during the show, he's mentally logging the footnotes, like the teases and just other silly shit that we do. And then he will text me his list of the notes at the end of the show. After he's while he's editing photos, as I have the show, he's editing photos, he sends me a list, he's like, are these notes right? And he remembers shit that I don't remember that we played. Like he did this morning, and I was like, yeah, it looks good to me, I guess. Yes. So
Yeah, it's great. I'm like, yeah, people think I'm like not having a good time at a show because I'm in my phone.
Oh yeah. You're like
Well, yeah,
No
first
takes,
meeting,
yeah.
like the way I write is all really like subjective. So like,
totally.
like when I saw you guys in Philly and you did the pre thing, like with the VIP, like you were tapping your foot. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're not going to hear the boot tap on the stage, but you're there. Like that's a
Yeah,
pretty detail
yeah.
I didn't want to forget. You know?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time, and I've loved
thank you.
getting to
Yeah,
know you.
thanks,
The
man.
run has been great, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
see
thanks,
more.
dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.